I have hit record, you are good to go.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here this evening. We do want to start on time because your time is valuable, and we really appreciate that you set aside time to attend one of our evening guidance presentations. And this is one of 7 different evening events we have throughout the school year. And we are glad you're here. In the past, we would do these in person. We would be over in the middle school LGI room, but our safety is paramount, and we want to make sure that we're being safe, but also we want to get this information in your hands. And if we can begin, but just by briefly reviewing our objectives tonight, we do want you to acquire knowledge that can help you prepare for a wide variety of options. You see a phrase there that we do want to use very frequently: post-secondary options, post-secondary after high school. That's very important because we want to include the idea of college, but that is not the only way to success. There's a lot of ways to success. So when you hear me say post-secondary options, it's education after high school. And we want to give you some strategies that will help you to be successful. We can have this discussion, but if you don't know what to do afterwards, then we didn't quite meet our goals. So we do want to give you some concrete things to do as we go on. Now, my name is David Barkovich. The students know me. I'm Dr. Barkovich at the high school, and I'm excited to be here this evening with Mrs. Weber, another one of our school counselors, and the two of us are going to walk you through career and college planning for underclassmen. Mrs. Weber is going to be managing the chat and admitting the folks to the room. We are happy to have this be an interactive presentation if you would like. Simply put something in the chat, and Mrs. Weber she'll try and answer it first in the chat, but if it's something that a lot of people have questions about, I'll be happy to answer it because there's a good chance someone else has the same question as well. What we'd like to start with is introducing ourselves, but the whole counseling team. The school counselors at North Hills assist students with their academic development, their social and emotional development, and their career development as well. And as most things at the school, we do have it divided alphabetically. Mrs. Davis and I work with the 11th and 12th graders, and you can see our alphabet breakdown there. And Mrs. Dove and Mrs. Weber work with the 9th and 10th graders. And of course, a key part of our school counseling team is Mrs. White. She's the glue that holds us all together and frankly keeps us sane. So we are glad to help you. This is your team. And something you want to get used to, students, is accessing your resources, raising your hand, speaking up, and advocating for yourself is a sign of an adult learner. It's never a sign of bothering someone. I feel badly when students say, "Oh, I hope I'm not bugging you." No, this is what we do, folks. We're here to help you problem solve. We're here to help you make strategies, and we enjoy it. It's been wonderful for Mrs. Weber and I to have, and all the school counselors to actually interact with students again these last couple of weeks. We love that. That's what we kind of went into the biz for. So seeing you all has been really, and even those you virtually, has really brightened our 2021. So now, this is an extremely important point that I want to make sure we start with, and that is that you should be making plans to meet your goals and your objectives throughout life. We watch stuff on TV, we see stuff on TikTok or this or that, and we say, "Oh, this is great. This is what I should aspire to." Well, okay, it's okay to learn about the world and to see different things, but really, we want you to be happy. And there's no one way that everyone's going to be happy. I would be a billionaire if I knew exactly how to find every single person with their career match. It's a very much individualized process, something that you are the best person to engage in that process. And you have people in your life. I hope you have people in your life who may be able to give you some advice here or there. But we do want you to make sure that years from now, when you're in a career that is something that makes you happy and that you're not regretting kind of following somebody else's career path or anything like that. Okay. I have a sign in my office. I just glanced up at now and it says, nobody else's footsteps lead to where you're going. And I do believe that. Another point is that we are really hoping that what's been going on over the last 10 months, almost a year, is not going to be standard. So while we do want to consider, things that can pop up, such a global pandemic, it may not always be like this. So maybe you don't make 100 concrete plans thinking things are going to be this way or they're going to be that way. Keep yourself open to be flexible. So that's an important point we always like to make is this is an individualized process. Whatever path you choose, do it with grace, do it by seeking out information, and you're going to find honor and dignity in really any career path. And as we go throughout this, you're going to see some hints there. And the first hint here is don't wait till May of your senior year to plan for that. One of our biggest nightmares is that a student walks across the stage at Martorelli and only then starts to think, oh my goodness, I'm done with high school. What am I going to do? That's a nightmare for everybody. We want to try and make sure that doesn't happen. But hey, you're here now. So we're preaching to the choir, as they might say. Now, a lot of times we think about, hey, what worked for my brothers or sisters, or what worked for my parents, or even my grandparents. Well, of course, things change as time goes by, but especially in the last 60 years, things have changed a great deal. And we are now in what is called the new economy. And you heard me reference post-secondary education before. Back in 1960, the majority of people didn't need any type of post-secondary education. In fact, 60% did not. However, we are at the point now where 90% of people do need some type of post-secondary education, or I'm sorry, the jobs out there will require that 90% of folks have some sort of post-secondary degree. Now, there's some out there that you can go into right away. Students tend to ask, what type of jobs are they? And to be honest, the economic data from the Department of Labor says they are largely in the food industry. Which, hey, I got, if you grew up in this area, you remember the Italian oven on McKnight Road. I worked there for 4 years and did everything from dishwasher up to server. So well familiar with the service industry myself. But unfortunately, sometimes without further education, that's where you may top out at it. And if you're okay with that, great. But the data says that 90% of jobs in the future will need some type of post-secondary education. Along the same lines, folks kind of wonder, how many jobs are out there in these different areas. And this is some great information. A lot of times you'll hear people in the career advising areas talk about the 1-to-7 ratio. And for every one person that is going to be in an occupation that requires a master's degree, there are going to be 2 people that are going to be in a job that requires a professional job that requires a university degree. But then there are going to be 7 people that are going to require some type of training, certificate, degree beyond high school. And that's where the majority of jobs are going to be going to lie. So keep that in mind as you're looking ahead. This is the new economy that the data that's coming out of the U.S. Department of Labor. Now, we try and reach students in pretty much any way we can. And if you see some popular memes creep up in this presentation, it's because we're just trying to get your attention, folks. But the next big tip here, and we are going to be a little touchy-feely here at the beginning with some larger ideas, big ideas, and then we'll get into some specifics in just a bit. But please realize that planning your career is a process. It is not something that happens like turning on a light switch. It'd be wonderful if 10 minutes of meeting with your school counselor and all of a sudden you got your whole life planned, okay? Or 10 minutes of talking with a mentor or somewhere else and you plan it. That is not how things usually happen. It's something you want to gear up for. It is more of a marathon than a sprint. So knowing that going in, knowing that hey, listen, I'm going to have to put in some time to this. I'm going to have to really commit to this process. That doing so can help maximize your chances of success. Now, I'm going to use the metaphor of the tree here as we discuss the different career paths, the post-secondary choices that might wait for you after North Hills, and you're going to use this tree as a metaphor here. At the bottom are your roots, your family. We often call those our roots, and all of you are going through North Hills High School, the trunk of the tree. But from there, you're going to branch out. And I know it sounds scary, but at the beginning, there's going to be, an initial decision from among 5 choices that you're going to make. And some of you might get very worried about that. Oh my goodness, are you telling me I only have 5 choices? Oh, obviously not. Obviously not. But these things are going to branch out a great deal. They're going to intertwine and grow together. And there's millions of different career paths out there for you. Okay. But if we can just kind of get a little practical here, you'll decide to pursue one of these 5 options. It's possible to actually do 2 if we think about it. And some of you might, and no matter which one of these you choose, no matter which one, we want to help you, and we are excited because we do think there are advantages and honor and dignity in all these different career paths. Some of you might decide that you are ready to go right out into the workforce. That's awesome. Maybe you went to Beatty and you got a certificate already, or maybe you have some other certificate. Maybe you did the North Hills welding certificate through our CHS welding or whatever. But if you feel you're prepared for the workforce, awesome. Let us know how we can help. Can we help you do a resume? Can we help you prepare for job interview skills? That's great. We'd love to help you with that. Some of you might decide that you want to go into the armed service, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute or so. And some of you might decide, you know what, I need some type of skilled training, career training or vocational or a trade, something like that. Great, great. Some of you might decide, you know what, I want to go to the community college. Now, the community college in Allegheny County is an amazing, amazing system, has a number of campuses. We have one just 3 miles up the road at the Community College of Allegheny County, the North Campus. And I'm really proud that North Hills High School was instrumental in getting a shuttle. They have a shuttle that leaves Westview Plaza a couple times a day and goes up to the North Campus. So thankful for CCAC for running that shuttle because it helps students get there. And why might somebody go to a community college? Well, not every career path needs a 4-year degree. Sometimes you need a 2-year degree, and you can go there to CCAC, get that 2-year degree, maybe a 1-year certificate. Some folks go to the community college because they do want to get some low-cost credits because eventually they are going to transfer to a college or university. The Community College of Allegheny County has about 150 articulation agreements, which means they already have an agreement with 150 different colleges to say, if you take these classes at CCAC, they will indeed transfer to this college as this class. So a lot of the guesswork and the worry that there used to be out there, like, oh my gosh, is this going to transfer? Will this count for anything? Or I have wasted my money? The community college and those colleges already have agreements. That's a great thing. And then some of you might decide, you know what, in order to meet my goals, I need to go to a formal college or university. I need to know a good deal about a certain topic in order to reach my particular career goals. So these are some of the main things that you will have to choose from at the beginning here. I do want to talk about a couple in particular. I want to talk about military careers. We got, it's an informal distinction, but one of the recruiters told us a couple years ago that North Hills is one of the most militarily friendly high schools in Western Pennsylvania. And gosh, I'll tell you what, I'll take that accolade over any award or blue ribbon or anything like that, because these careers have great value. And some of the value you get from these careers is tangible, such as paying for your education with a GI Bill or training, but there's a lot of intangibles that come with military service as well. Students do it. They come to us and say, hey, listen, I want to serve my country. I want to travel. I want to see if I can hack it. This is, it's like a milestone, a mountain to climb for them. And for some families, it is a tradition as well. If you would want to pursue this career path, we very much want to help you. I'll be referencing a couple different ways throughout the rest of the um, presentation here, but we can certainly help you with military careers. And this same thing if you're interested in joining any of the trades. There's some schools out there that can educate you in the trades, but we have some great relationships with some of the trade unions. There's a great website, buildersguild.org, and the Builders Guild of Western Pennsylvania helps students to connect with the different labor unions, which is a group of workers that get together to bargain with employers. There's some benefits that can come with that. We got some Department of Labor statistics here. And it's interesting, every year we have folks from the trades tell us that the average starting age in these trades is 29 years old, meaning that somebody went out after high school and spent 11 years kicking around, trying this, trying that. And, that's 11 years that you could almost retire earlier on the other back end of that career. But it's amazing. Some of our students, after 4 years, at 22 years old, finished their union apprenticeships and they're making $50,000-$60,000 a year, which is a great living, wonderful living. So when you are in a trade apprenticeship, they say you earn as you learn, because you do get a great salary as you are part of their apprenticeship program. So just to flip back 1 second, those are some of the different career choices that we have, the main ones, and we're going to hit some of these a little more detail as we go along, but I wanted to mention those in particular. So, okay, let's get a little concrete here. I do want to tell you about some things you could do tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, when you have some time. But when someone picks a career, we hope it's purposeful. We hope that you are doing so after really conducting a good overview of it. I think, us as adults, we've all had a career at some point, or a job at some point that we do to pay the bills. Sometimes you have to do that. I totally get that. 2 weeks after I got my master's degree, I was roofing. And if you know me, the sun is not my friend. I burn very easily, but I was newly married. I needed a job, had to pay the bills. So, sometimes we do that. But the hope is that you can have a career that evolves and involves these different things. Maybe you could find a career that allows you to meet your personal goals. Folks have lots of different goals. They could be financial, or to have a family along with that career, or to climb up the ladder, or this or that. The career is also about the experience. I mean, some people say, "Oh, listen, I want to travel as part of it. I want to be able to do this or that as part of the experiences that make up your career." Hopefully, you can find a career that you're interested in. Sometimes we come in and there were days this past year where I had to do nothing but sit at my computer and go over data. I went into this because I was interested in helping young people find their careers. So hopefully you can find a career you're interested in, but that's a big part of it. And values come into it as well. Some folks say, listen, I'd love to help students with special needs, or I'd love to help the environment, or help prove that somebody's innocent and not doesn't deserve to go to jail for a crime they didn't commit. So values can come into play with career a lot. You need to be okay with the level of education that you want to put into getting that career. Some folks say, you know what, listen, am I capable of getting a college degree, getting a master's degree? Yes, I am. But you know what? I don't really need that for my particular career. So even though I'm capable of it, what I want to do is this. The amount of education and the cost of education can be an important part of figuring out a career. And then usually the folks that find success in their careers are the ones that they're skillful at. It's a great way to advance and possibly earn higher levels of pay if you're very proficient at your job. So maybe you can find something that meets your particular skill set. Like, I very much enjoy playing basketball. I am truly terrible at it though. So as you can tell, I did not make it in the NBA, but my skills happen to lie somewhere else. And I hope you can find a career that meets your career skills as well. Now, just a couple weeks ago, we sent out a pretty useful tool to our juniors, and we are going to be working with our director of communication to get this reposted to our website. But we sent out a timeline for planning for some higher education, and it goes step by step through the different steps that you could take in order to fully explore the different careers out there, consider things like financial aid, when to apply, standardized testing, and things like that. So we did send that out just about 2 weeks ago, and it is posted to the class of 2022. Oh gosh, I was so focused on our seniors. I meant I should have put 2022 in here. We sent this. We posted this to the class of 2022 Google Classroom. You can access it on that as well. But we highly encourage you to use this particular resource, which FIA makes it a really slick graphics and stuff like that. So we do end up using theirs, but great tool for planning for all types of education. And you can find that in those different places. Now, some of you might be in this presentation because you have absolutely no idea what you wanted to do. Well, you're like me then. I was like that in high school. I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And we want to kind of start there for everybody, because even if you do know what you want to do, maybe you want to use these resources to go back and just kind of double check and say, yeah, sure, I'm going to confirm that this is what I really want to do here. The PA Career Zone is a free website you can go to, and it has a couple different purposes. It will allow you to explore who you are and what your interest might be. It's got a pretty good interest inventory on here. And what you would do is you would go under the Explore tab, click on the interest inventory, and you would answer a lot of questions. And what would happen is it would generate a list of careers that match with your interests. And the idea, what it's matching you to is a survey of thousands of professionals who are happy and successful in their career. And the idea is that your answers would have matched them, and theoretically would also be happy and successful like they are as well. There's also on here under the Explore tab a really great library of videos about certain careers. So if you've always heard about a nutritionist, or you've heard about an engineer, then you could go on and see what they do, read about it. You can put pretty much any career into their search engine here and learn a little bit more about it. And I like this website because when you're reading about the careers, it also lists what major you might pursue to get that career, or certificate if it may be, as well as it'll even list some colleges that may have that as well, what some post-secondary institutions. So that's a great resource. If you don't know where to start, you could start here on PA Career Zone, or you can start on the ONET website as well. The particular website for this one is mynextmove.org, and it's another great resources for just learning what a particular career is. There's a theory of career development that goes in reverse chronological order, meaning you do exploration on a career that you might be interested in, and you kind of decide on a career first. And then you start working your way chronologically back in time from this possible future happy you. So there's future happy you doing this career, and you start to come back in time to figure out, what type of education do you need to get that, and then moving back forward. So that's one kind of decision. And then moving back forward to present day, what type of institution did you have to go to get that particular major that got you that happy, successful career? And then coming back even further, how did you apply to that institution? that got you that major, that got you that career. So it's kind of a different way of thinking of career planning. Some folks say, I'm gonna follow this path and see where I end up. Okay, if you go for it. Or you could kind of start with your goal in mind and figure out what roadmap might get you to that particular goal.
Hey, Dr. B.
Yes.
Are you going to cover scholarship later? There are some questions about good scholarship resources. And I wasn't sure if you had that a little bit later or if you wanted to touch on that at this point.
I'm gonna be honest with you. We will not touch on that much in this presentation because that is pretty far down the line. There are some scholarships you can apply for as a junior, but as an underclassman. But this particular presentation is designed kind of for the underclassman who's exploring. Honestly, the scholarship season really starts in the fall, winter of the senior year, and we'll get there. But the school counseling website does have a large number of, let me just talk about scholarships for a second. Places like the Counseling Resource Center in schools used to be the one place that people would send scholarship information. They don't need us anymore. They just skip over us and put things on the internet. So we can link you to some great scholarship searches, and we will put some North Hill specific ones on the website that you can apply for as seniors. But largely, those resources have moved from being just held with us, where we have it all, to online. So we'll cover that a little down the line. We do the similar presentation to this in the September of the senior year, and we do hit financial aid and scholarship a lot more then. So we're at kind of the beginning stages of the college search. The ONET is a great website for you to be looking at. Another good website is a portion of the College Board's website. The College Board is the organization that runs the SATs, the PSATs, the AP exam, but they're a college planning tool, and they have a section of it called the Big Future website. And on the Big Future website, let's say that you kind of have the career in mind, and you want to start to figure out what institution should I go to in order to get to that career. Well, on the Big Future site, you can use all the criteria you see here on the left bar there to start to narrow it down from, there's almost 4,000 colleges, post-secondary institutions in the world. And figuring out which one is going to be the best match for you requires you to do some thinking. What type of location would I prefer? What type of school do I want to go to? Is it a 2-year? Is it a 4-year? The size of a school. Please start with a major. I mean, of course, shouldn't have to say this. Don't go to a college that doesn't have your major. But majors, does it have a particular sport? So using this website, you can begin to narrow down where you might apply to. A lot of folks say, how do I make a list of colleges to apply to? Well, this is a big step. This is a big help right here. And if you create an account and save it, your work will be, you'll be able to refer back to your work. So this is a great website right here, the College Board website. Part of the College Board Big Future is this year is hosting a college fair, a number of college fairs. Typically this time of the year, in February, we would take our entire junior class down to the convention center in downtown Pittsburgh and have them walk around and chat with all the admissions professionals there, from the military, from the community colleges, from technical schools, from colleges. We simply cannot do that this year. It is not safe for us to gather in large groups like that. So like most things, this has moved virtual, and the College Board's Big Future college fairs are held throughout the spring, have a lot of great information there. Another college fair is the Knack college fairs. This is the organization. Knack is the National Association of College Admissions Counselors. Those are the folks that organize the Pittsburgh National College Fair that we would go to. This year they have 6 so far, 6 different college fairs planned. And the latest one is, the next one is on the 31st of this month. I checked this just the other day, and there's already 550 colleges that are going to be there, and very much like a college fair itself that would be in person, you kind of browse throughout the different colleges. And if you want to talk to somebody there, you would get in line. And there may be longer lines. I think that's why they have a lot of different sessions rather than just one. Okay. But it's well worth it if you want to try and make some contact with a admissions representative here. So this year, the college fairs have gone online more than they have in the past. Another way to get information about careers is in the fall at North Hills. We are waiting to see what next fall is going to be like. But this past fall, we had a lot of virtual visits. College admissions representatives want to recruit North Hills graduates. I think of Notre Dame. Notre Dame does not have to visit every high school. They simply don't. People are going to apply. They're going to meet their freshman class no matter what. But when they come to the Pittsburgh area, they told me they visit 7 high schools. And we have a lot of great high schools in the Pittsburgh area. We're really proud that North Hills is one of them. So we're proud that's just one example, but we get so many colleges. It was a big deal. Caltech came. I guess it was 7 or 8 years. It was the year that Caltech was the #1 college in the nation, which different ones get rated each year, but they came that year. They were the #1 college in the nation. We're real proud of that. So the idea is that you make personalized contact with somebody. This is a great time. To be honest, this is a great time to ask for fee waivers. Like, hey, really like to apply to your school. What's involved with it? Oh, it's that much. Do you provide any financial assistance with that? It's pretty common for them to throw fee waivers around, and when those things are $50, $60, $70 a pop, it could make a big difference, especially if you're applying to a number of schools. So these are some different ways that you can explore different careers, explore different colleges. I said colleges. I should not have. I should have said post-secondary institutions. I just happen to be looking at the thing here. These are some practical ways, some sites that you could go to. So maybe this is a good time to kind of pause and just think about how you could use these. If you're with a family member, you could say, okay, hey, listen, this Saturday morning we're going to have some time. We're gonna poke around, and complete an inventory on this website, or we're gonna see what colleges might have this major. So I hope you use those resources there. Now, just about every career path is going to require some type of standardized testing, whether that's the ACT, the SAT, the Asvab, or trade union testing. But the idea is that you take a test that is usually administered under the same conditions, the same level of rigor, and same time conditions. The theory is that this will allow people to be compared to one another, no matter if you're from Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Philadelphia. Theoretically, if everyone takes the test in the same manner, they can rate them on a standard scale. That's the general idea behind standardized tests. And like I mentioned, there's a number of different types. Let's first talk about the Asvab exam. The Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. An easy way to think of this is it's the SAT for the military. If you're going to go into the military, you need to take the ASVAB. And what it helps determine is what jobs you might qualify for. This test goes up to 99. Typically, there's minimums you need to get. Sometimes it's and this is not a percentile, so don't think the minimum you might need to get is like a 33. Don't think of that as a percentile, though. That is not what it's about. But the higher your score on the ASVAB, the more jobs you could qualify for. And some people want this job or that job. They have a goal in mind. That's great. I remember a news article I read, and it was all about a person. Her entire job in the U.S. Navy was to fill the vending machines on the aircraft carrier. And those things are like floating cities. So it takes all the day to do it. And she was joking and saying how much she enjoys being in the military and seeing the world, but that she did not try that hard on the ASVAB. And she kind of wishes she did, but again, she's providing. She is training in a lot of different areas. but we would like you to just consider that you do need to take standardized tests if you want to go into the military. We are right now looking into having North Hills be a test site for the Asvab for the spring. If you want to take the Asvab this spring, and they are looking for primarily juniors and seniors, depending on your age. If you're a sophomore, if you're 16, your score can mean one thing. If you're under 16, it can mean another. It does not quite count as a score. So if you get a really great score and you're under 16, it's not going to count. But if you want to do that, let us know. Let your school counselor know, and we'll make sure you get the information about the upcoming ASVAB as soon as we can schedule that. We have to schedule that because someone from the federal government has to administer it. We can't administer that. Another exam out there might be the trade union entrance exams, and some of the trade unions have very specific ones that needed, that you have these skills, these specific skills. But I was surprised to learn that more of them have kind of a general knowledge standardized test exams. I saw the electricians one, and it is a general knowledge one. You don't have to know that much about circuitry or things like that for the electricians. Of course, there's plenty of questions about the technical areas on these, but these are highly sought after jobs, and your test score can make a big difference on whether or not you get an interview and when you eventually, or whether or not you get into an apprenticeship. So folks sometimes think, oh, math isn't important. Heck yeah, it is. Geometry is darn important to somebody who might be a carpenter. So English, math, social studies, science, all of these things can be very important for the ASVAB, for the military, and for the trade unions. And of course,
Dr. B?
Yes.
Sorry. There's a question about, do you think or have you heard anything about the standardized testing? Will there be any adjustments to reflect any educational deficiencies that happened during the virtual or hybrid section?
So good question. Good question. The adjustment that will happen is becoming test optional. I'll cover that in just a moment. Good question. The idea of the SAT and ACT is that you would take these tests, and theoretically, you could be compared to somebody across the world, and they would decide whether or not your score is what they are looking for when they make their admissions decision. It used to be one of the more important indicators, and theoretically, what it shows is they are now achievement tests. Years ago, when I took it, oh my goodness, okay, it's more than 25 years now that I think about it. But when I took it, maybe your parents took these. They were aptitude tests. They were supposed to predict how well you would do. Skills-based tests. Not anymore. These are achievement tests now. They've changed a great deal. They test what you know now rather than try to predict your possible GPA in the future. But the data shows that a combination of SAT scores and your high school grades is really a better indicator of what your academic success might be, just not the SAT. Do I think that how you score on a random Saturday morning is an indicator of how you're going to do in your career? No, but we need to recognize that this is kind of the process that exists out there, and that this could be a factor in admissions. However, this past year, because of the quarantine, students did not have the ability to take the tests. They were canceled. They were canceled here at North Hills, and across the nation, across the world, really. So what has happened in the admissions world this year is many colleges have gone what's called test optional, meaning you do not have to take your SATs. Take the SATs or send them in. It is that is kind of the equity that I think you were asking about, Mrs. Weber, is what they're saying is that if you didn't have the opportunity to take the test, you don't have to turn it in. If you don't turn one in, they're not going to ask any questions. Okay, so it would be more based on your high school transcript. I'll get to that in a moment or two. But typically, when the time that students take these exams is during the spring of their junior year. That's when most students are finishing up Algebra 2, and it does test math-wise through Algebra 2. There's a little bit of trig. I think it used to be 7% of it used to be some trig, so you couldn't get a perfect score without knowing a little bit of trig, but that varies a bit here and there. But this is something that not every North Hills student has to do. So we are not going to sit down with you and register for the SATs with you, because not every student needs to do it. You might be going right to work to here or there, and it's an individualized process that you kind of decide to do, and frankly, pay for on your own as well. You would select your test dates that work for you. Theoretically, we're going to have all the test dates that we typically have. I'll show you those in a moment. It's funny, we often hear of the SAT here in Pennsylvania. It's really a coastal thing. The East and West coasts are very SAT dependent, and really the central part of the country takes the ACTs. But that's changed. Even that's changed. More people nationwide take the ACT than the SAT right now. Colleges should accept both, or neither, if you decide not to admit your score. There used to be there is an option where if you take the SAT multiple times and you decide you only want them to see one one test examination, you can do so. I don't know if we necessarily recommend that. Years ago, I was an admissions counselor. I worked at the University of Pittsburgh and decided who got in and who didn't. And the general theory at that time was, students should maybe not just try it once and then be okay with that score. The idea is that you try it multiple times. So if you choose the score choice and show them just the one, they may not know that, hey, you really work for it. You did take it a second time and try to improve yourself in between those scores. So I'm not sure I'm really a fan of score choice. Some colleges practice what's called super scoring. It's an individual decision by the college, but what they would do is they would take different portions of your SAT or ACT and combine the best times you did it across different test dates. So maybe in March you did great on the math, but when you took it again in June, you did better on the critical reading. Well, they could take those too if that particular school might do super scoring. And now there's I just mentioned that not every college is requiring the SAT right now. That is true. And we just heard, interesting, I just saw something about 2 hours ago. Penn State is going to be extending their test optional policy, meaning you don't have to send them SAT, into next year. That's the first one I heard of that's going to be for the class of 2022 when you apply. The Pennsylvania State University has already kind of put that out there for next year. So keep that in mind. But the SATs could also be used for scholarship consideration. I understand that the SATs can be test optional, but you may want, if you look at what a school usually admits students on, like in 2019, they admitted somebody with a 1200, and you've got a 1200, it could be worth your while to send it in. The more information you can give a college, the better, especially positive. So you may want to send it in, especially because they could be basing some scholarship considerations based on additional information they may get. It's tough for us to generalize with 4,000 colleges in the world, but if it could possibly help you, it's probably a good idea to give it a shot. Now, there's a lot of data on this screen here. I'm kind of hesitant to show it to you, but I'm going to describe the difference between the ACT and SAT using a food analogy, okay? The ACT, I have a friend who runs a SAT prep company, and it's his business, and he's kind of come to the conclusion, I agree with this, that the ACT is like mom's meatloaf. It's made the same every single time. If you had it once, you've had it a million times. You know what goes into it, and if you like that, great. What that means is there is not a lot There, as you can see here, there's more questions, okay, but they present the concepts in a simpler way. The SAT is a little bit like going to a restaurant and trying something new from the menu that you've never had before. It might be something that has, boy, all the math questions and geometry that more math questions this particular administration than that normally has, and you're really good at geometry, so you do really great at that. Or it could be like ordering something new off the menu, and you're like, this didn't really turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out. Maybe it's gosh, it's got a lot of happens to have a lot of algebra 2 in it. It's not my stronger area. That's a bummer. The SAT has a little more variance in the questions that they ask. I'm often asked, which one should I take? Well, each of these costs about $60 to take, so it's pretty tough for us to spend your money. I will tell you that when my own daughter is getting ready to pursue her goals, I'm going to have her take the ACT once and the SAT once, and whatever one she likes better, we'll probably take that one a second time. So that's what I'm probably going to do with my own child, recommend to my own child. So you may want to consider that as you explore your different options as well. Now, these things are offered throughout the next couple months. Please think ahead. The registration deadline for these is about a month ahead of time. So if you want to get in on them, you should do so now. I believe there is still time to register for the the February ACT. So if you can want to jump on that, you could do so. So this is just a general calendar. You want to go online for the specific ones. North Hills, we volunteered to be a test site for the ones in the red. We like to give you guys a home game. That's the way I kind of think of it, as like a home game. You can take it anytime. In May, you want to go over to Shaler, you want to go to NA or Vincentian, take it. Great. It's going to be basically the same test, same setup. Okay, it's going to count the same way. But sometimes just having the knowing where you're going, how long it takes to get there. And the classrooms basically is just kind of a decent feeling to have there. So now, back in 2019, which sounds like the ancient past, but honestly, it was only 15 months ago in October. All the 10th graders took the PSAT exam, and you can access your score report if you would like. At the time, we had you create a College Board account. You should be able to access your PSAT score on that. And what you can do is you can use that PSAT score to create a free online study program. Back in the day, you would buy a really thick booklet. The parents, you can probably picture that blue booklet that's just, is a couple inches thick. Well, the study guides have really moved online, and the College Board has teamed up officially with Khan Academy. And with your PSAT score, you can go on Khan Academy. There's a code on your PSAT score report, and create an individualized study guide. If you are got all the answers right on one section of the SAT, your individualized study guide is not going to make it study that. You already did really well on it. It's going to focus on the things that you need to focus on. It's a great way of studying. If you're wondering, like, how do I study for the SATs? This is how folks do it, using their PSAT score report. Now, the PSATs had to be canceled at North Hills this past October. It is going to be offered. Geez, it's next week already, isn't it? Oh my goodness, it is next Tuesday during the regular school day. If you had signed up, we will be testing here at North Hills, and then you will get another school report there. And if you are an underclassman, if you're here, if you're in 9th and 10th grade, theoretically, if it's safe enough, next October we'll be offering the PSAT to next year's 10th and 11th graders. Okay. All right. Now, This is starting to get a little advanced here, okay? Because we do want to. I don't want to scare you with too much stuff, but would like to talk to you about what an application to an institution would look like, okay? And this would be the same as if you're, applying to community college or trade school or to college. There's kind of four things that they're really looking for: an application, and students build up the application so much. Oh my gosh, I'm going to put it off, I'm going to put it off, I'm going to put it off. It's just a simple demographic form. It does not ask for that much information. You can take care of most applications in 10-15 minutes, okay? And there's other things that come along with it that make it a longer process, but the actual form itself is not that long. um, just so that schools know that you are serious. Many of them have application fees, and these can be costly. It is well worth investigating with the school if they have any way to mitigate that for you. Always ask. If they say no, you're in the same spot you were in the first spot. But something that nearly everyone is going to need, whether it's the military or a trade union or business school or college, is your official high school transcript. Students, as adults, you create a resume, which is a document that lists all of your experiences and your education, and is kind of a snapshot on who you are. Well, your high school transcript is a snapshot of who you are as a high school student. And what makes a transcript official is when it comes directly from the high school to the college. Um, you can request that the way we've been doing a request for that, and you don't do that now. Please do not request this right now. Some of you I are worried or filling out this form right now. No, you want it to have your junior year on it. Once August 1st comes around of next year, or well, whatever, I guess 7 months from now, that's the appropriate time to begin to request your official high school transcript, because it'll have your junior year grades on it. But we're happy to send that to wherever you need it to go, to upload it wherever you need to go. We can email it, or we've still mailed a couple this year as well. We're happy to do that. But they look at this and they make a judgment about you. That can be scary, but one of the reasons that we push academics and for you to try your best is because somewhere down the line, somebody is going to look at that and decide whether or not they want you to be part of their organization, whether it's the military or a trade union or a college. And I mentioned the standardized test scores. There are a lot of scores, types of scores: Asvab, unit testing, SAT, ACT. And at some schools, these are the basic four. When colleges have these four things, some of them, this is what they will review you on. You will be in their system. You'll be file complete. Back when I was an admissions counselor, we had an actual file manila folder for everybody, but we've advanced in the 20 years since then. But these are the basic things that you need to apply, the minimum. But do we think that you will be maximizing your chances of acceptance if you do the minimum? Probably not. There are supplemental materials that you may want to consider. It's very easy for a college to say no to a GPA or a test score, but it's tough to say no to a person, somebody whose essay you've read and heard about who they are, what they've accomplished, what has affected them. So if you have the option to provide these things, please choose to do so. Some schools give you essay prompts and say, we want you to write about this or that. Some allow you to choose. Some just say, give us a sample of your writing. We urge you to take advantage of that. Some places ask for a letter of recommendation from somebody important, not a parent or your aunt or anything like that, but somebody who's known you in a formal way, like a teacher, your boss, a counselor, or a religious leader or something like that. And the idea is that they're hearing from an external source that you have these positive characteristics. Oftentimes colleges or post-secondary institutions, they do want to see that you're able to manage some different activities at the same time. Theoretically, when you're a college student, you wouldn't just be going to class. You would be involved with this. You would be trying to do that. You would have a lot of things going on. And If they can see that you can manage that in high school through extracurriculars or volunteer work or sports or things like that, it gives them encouragement that you're able to manage things at the next level. Sometimes it's appropriate to include awards or certificates. If you have gotten some of those, you can upload PDFs and things like that. And for certain majors, they do want you to send them work, videos or a website or something like that. So these are some of the materials that you can opt to send to different colleges. Although some may say, we want those four things, but we also want one letter of recommendation or whatever.
Dr. B,
Yes.
do you know if any colleges have talked about if your high school transcript had dropped and your grades dropped due to the pandemic, will that be kind of like an algorithm, something to put in there where they take that into account, and not just for the juniors, but for sophomores and freshmen?
It's interesting. So we're kind of in the thick of it right now. That remains to be seen. The general information, some of the preliminary data from colleges right now is they are not yet at the application numbers they were at last year. So I know it's been a turbulent time. It's been horrible. It's been tragic. But it is not a bad time to be a senior as far as college admissions right now, because the admissions rates have been slightly higher. Right now, it's a lot of anecdotal data, but I try and be very connected to the college community, and that is generally what we're seeing. We did hear from a lot of colleges officially that they did go to their wait lists last May, and it may come back to students and say, hey, listen, we do have a spot after all. It is going to be up to each individual college to determine how they want to handle it. There's no one rule that everyone's going to say, it's okay, you got C's rather than your normal B's or anything like that. I am on a national committee. I'm on the Common Applications School Counselor Advisory Board. There's only six of us across the nation. And there is, to be honest, it seems from the member colleges, there's about 600 colleges, there is some kind of COVID fatigue that is being expressed by the colleges, saying that it's not it's something they're hearing about so much, and they want to hear about other things as well. That's some anecdotal data coming from the national level from the committee I'm on. So I don't know if I can quite answer that question. That's a pretty challenging question to answer given the variety out there. Each college is gonna handle it individually. Well, we are gonna start to wrap up here, and okay, a couple. So sometimes people ask us, how many schools should I apply to? Well, that's entirely up to you. There is no number, okay? Although I did hit this year the highest number I've ever gotten before. I'm not going to tell you what the number is, but I've never had a student apply to this many schools before. I sometimes think that, well, let me. There's no magic number. Instead, what you should probably think about are some categories of colleges apply to. There's some colleges out there that you think, wow, it would be amazing if I got admitted there. Gosh, it's some of the best schools in the nation. It'd be such a reach to get there, but they're a highly competitive schools. Maybe you want to give it a shot. I mean, if you don't give it a shot, you might never know whether or not you might be accepted to this college or that college. So it's perfectly fine to reach for some schools. You may want to apply to some schools in which your background matches what they are traditionally looking for. And so it's reasonable to assume that you'd be accepted there based on what they've done in the past. So maybe you want to apply to some schools where it's yeah, it's pretty reasonable that I should be accepted there. And then there's some schools where you're listen, if everything else goes wrong, I'm going to be a responsible applicant. I'm going to have these in my back pocket. And this is where I'm going to go if things don't go the way I want with some other things. But there's something to be said for being a big fish in a small pond. I had a lot. We have a lot of talented students in North Hills over the last couple of years who are making some great financial decisions, and they're going to schools that they were not their top picks. Heck, I had a student, turn down some Ivy League schools, Georgetown, some schools, because the financial packages they were getting at some other schools. So I wouldn't blame you one bit if you want to use your finances to consider this, but you don't want to apply to all schools in any one of these three different categories. A good blend is going to allow you to explore, see what's out there, and be responsible with your choices. Now, a couple final tips that we include with all of our school counseling presentations is you need to be very aware of your digital footprint. Please be aware that organizations and admissions reps and recruiters, they are out there, and they are going to use the available data to determine whether or not that you are somebody that they want to be associated with. So what might have been a joke for your friends, they may not know that you are joking about this or that. So please avoid online behaviors that are gonna say one thing about yourself when you're truly somebody else. Okay, please always keep that in mind. There is a possibility of using I'm going to go back one of using social media to have positive content. If you're on a field trip, if you're on a at a sports event, if you're participating in a meet, sure, go ahead and post. That's some good positive content out there that people could get. They can also get an idea of who you are from those sorts of things. As always, if you are ever struggling with anything, we hope that you would access some of the resources, such as the school counselors, including our student assistance counselor, who has some more specific training and resources for that. We have a number of associations with different mental health agencies, and we urge you, school's not always in session, so there are some national things out there you can connect with. And if you can always report things to the Safe to Say tip line if that's what you if you want to bring something to the school's attention. But please, let's look out for one another and access these resources if you ever would need some help yourself or know somebody who would be in need. All right, so we covered a lot. We began with some, I guess I'll say, touchy-feely things about how this is a process. You want to be thinking of individual things, but then we got into some nuts and bolts about how you can use certain websites to start to identify careers, majors, institutions that have what you want. And we talked about the standardized testing and the different materials you might need to start to gather for these different things. But this is not all of it. There are so many different factors out there. Juniors, we are doing some school counseling lessons in the social studies classes this spring, and we just started them today with one of our teachers. It's a digital activity that we posted to the Google Classroom. You will have time in your social studies class, but we are partnering up with I stumbled into this with an organization called Partner Up, and crafting some great school counseling lessons for our juniors. So this is a great time for you to put a question in the chat. And Mrs. Weber, if you got some, why don't you go ahead and throw them at me, okay?
Yeah, one I kind of answered briefly, but maybe you have some other feedback. If you are looking to do a portfolio for art, what is your feedback for that one?
So it's not always possible in every medium, but if you can have some sort of digital way of sending that, that's going to be a key thing. Although some of the institutions have their own platform for doing so, and that could include even still mailing some things. Although now with the COVID outbreak, I doubt they're actually asking you to mail it. So make sure you have a digital way of representing that, and then follow the institutions that rules for that. I got to give a shout out right now to it's called SCAD. It's the Savannah College of Art and Design. Oh gosh, I guess it was about 10 years ago now, when social media was really coming into play. SCAD reached out to me and said, "Hey, we always try and friend our applicants, and there is a kid who was just putting some stuff out there, and he was really down, and you might want to check on him." And you know what? He had had a bad breakup with his girlfriend, and things weren't great at home, and gosh, nobody here at North Hills had any idea, but that college reached out and told us that I'm so thankful for that. So I'm going to give a shout out to SCAD, even though that was like Savannah College of Art and Design, even though that was 10 years ago. But great people there helped us help us students. So yeah, that is the information there.
I have a question. How in depth can digital footprint extend? And would private accounts be included? Example, those that require approval from an account owner.
So there are a couple students who every year get a little surprised when a admissions rep wants to follow them on Twitter or on Instagram. Whatever. What do you do in that case? Do you say no? And when they're asking you, it is a good idea to really clean some things up. In preparation for this, to be honest, I Googled myself to see what I see. I went through the first 8 pages and actually ran out of stuff. There's apparently other people with my name out there, but I found, I used to run some marathons and stuff like that. But you want to make sure that you don't have a footprint out there of things that you don't want to be seen. It depends on what a college is going to do. They could ask to follow you. They could ask that you follow them. It could be very deep. It really could be, depending on school safety is not just a K-12 event. It is something that they worry about very much at colleges, and they want to make sure that they have safe individuals, healthy individuals at their colleges. So they could go pretty deep if they want to.
That was all the questions that I have in the chat box currently.
Okay. Well, we try to keep this about an hour, so we don't overload folks. But folks, this is just a beginning. We hope that you learned about the overall process. A good next step is to have a family meeting, sit down with your parent, guardians, students. It'd be great if you could share that meeting. Take some charge of your future. Start asking some questions. Hey, I think I might want to do this. Are there ways that you might be able to support me? What do you think about this? And start to make a plan from there. The school counseling website does have some good resources. I would encourage you to poke around on our website right there to read about some of the different things we have there, including scholarship. Somebody asked a question about scholarships earlier. Eventually, we will post the some North Hills specific ones for our seniors in March. It's looking like we're going to put those up. But we really appreciate you being here, Mrs. Weber and I both.
I do have one more question.
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Sorry. Can the counseling department help put students that obtain job shadowing positions to help students determine a major?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm reading it correctly. I'm sorry. The counseling department to obtain job shadowing positions, will that help students determine a major? So I guess, should they be going on job shadows to determine if that's something they should be interested in or not?
That is an amazing way of doing so. There's a kind of a specific reason that, in the fact that it used to be part of this presentation, but job shadowing is very difficult to do during a pandemic. Nearly every site has been locked down, does not allow extra visitors and things like that. They try and control who comes in and who and out. So frankly, I didn't mention it because it's such a challenge right now. but it is an amazing opportunity. I mean, the idea of a job shadow is you are walking where those professionals walk, seeing what they see, being in that environment, and you really get a taste for it. So I'd highly encourage you if you can do it. We would be happy to try and help you research those things. That is a really uphill battle right now. Simply because of the safety measures that are instituted across every part of our society. So yes, but no.
Okay, I think that is it.
Okay, well, hey, we don't have to answer every question right here. People may have personal concerns or things like that, which we understand. Reach out to your school counselor. Let us know how we could help you. You're never bugging us. We very much like to hear from you. I appreciate your time, Mrs. Weber. We appreciate your time, and we're gonna stop our recording and wrap things up for the evening. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.